Though New York Governor Andrew Cuomo had already called the attacks terror and the president had spoken with Cuomo, Mr. Obama did not use the same description. Instead, he referred to, quote, explosions. Megyn.
Well, if we stuck with just what the official said, we'd be repeating Mayor de Blasio, who said it wasn't terror, which, of course, now we know it was. Trace, thank you. I'm Megyn Kelly, and this is The Kelly File.
And this is a Fox News alert. Terror rocked the United States this weekend, and welcome to Hannity. 28-year-old Ahmad Khan Rahami, a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Afghanistan, captured by police earlier today. Now, he's suspected of setting off bombs this weekend in New York and New Jersey. Now, for the very latest, we go to Fox News' Rick Leventhal. He's got standing by with what's happening. Rick, what's going on?
Sean, remarkably fast work by law enforcement who caught Rahami after a shootout in Linden, New Jersey, just 3 hours after the FBI released his photo, and roughly 48 hours after that first explosive device, a pipe bomb, went off in Seaside Park, New Jersey. The police robot later detonated one of those devices. And late today, after that shootout that left several officers hurt and Rahami with a couple of bullet wounds, he was charged in Union County, New Jersey, with 5 counts of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer and weapons charges. He's being held on $5.2 million bail, and his first court appearance tentatively set for next Wednesday, September 28th. But Sean, Rahami will also likely be hit with numerous state and federal charges in connection with the attack, so he likely won't be bonding out of jail anytime soon.
All right, Rick Leventhal, thank you. Also tonight, authorities say Rahami was not on law enforcement's radar before the bombings. Joining us with more, Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge. Now, Catherine, he did apparently sued police along with his family for profiling of Muslims, correct?
Well, that's right. We're going to get to that in just 1 second, Sean. Late today, there was new information about prior contact between the FBI and the suspect, Rahami, after a domestic dispute. The victim there alleged that Rahami also showed signs of possible radicalization at that time. 2 sources confirmed the FBI followed up on the lead, but there was not enough to pursue it at that time, and the original allegations were withdrawn. Here's how the FBI described the episode at today's news conference.
There's nothing to indicate that currently he was on our radar. We had a report of a domestic incident some time ago. That was the allegations were recanted, and I don't have any other information. We'll keep digging.
Tonight, the FBI is very focused on Rahami's overseas travel and at least 3 trips to his native Afghanistan. A law enforcement source says the frequency of the trips was not suspicious at the time because of his family ties, and the number of trips did not suggest Rahami had outside help to pay for the flights. A second law enforcement source backed up that account, adding the FBI is now investigating who Rahami met with overseas and whether they planted the seeds of radicalization. Rahami immigrated to the U.S. legally with his family when he was 7 years old, and he is also a naturalized U.S. citizen. While police say they are not looking for other suspects or a broader cell, they are running down leads from the New York City surveillance video where the pressure cooker bomb exploded, injuring 29.
We identified, we have a video of 2 persons who picked up the bag, took the device out of it, and then walked off with the bag. Now, we went back to see where they came from. They looked like there were 2 gentlemen just strolling up and down 7th Avenue at the time. We have no information that would link them to this at all. However, we still want to talk to them.
Based on the news conferences today, there was really a long stretch from 2002 until 2012 where there was a dispute over the family's restaurant, and according to court papers, they sued at one point alleging that they were being marginalized and targeted because of their faith, Sean.
All right, Catherine Herridge, thank you. Americans are on edge tonight, and a Drudge Report headline from earlier today, it sums it up at best. It says, ISIS among us. The bombings in New York and New Jersey weren't the only terror-related attacks this weekend. On Saturday, a 22-year-old Somali man stabbed 10 people at a mall in Minnesota. It is being reported that he mentioned Allahu Akbar during the attack and allegedly asked one of the victims if he was a Muslim. ISIS, in fact, has claimed responsibility for that bloody rampage, and that's not all. Late last week in New York City, a homeless Palestinian man with a Jordanian passport, he went after police officers with a meat cleaver after they caught him trying to remove a boot from his car. A boot is one of those things that prevents prevents a car from leaving a parking spot. If you don't live in New York, you might not understand that. But anyway, according to the New York Post, the U.S. was trying to deport him, and he was shouting Allahu Akbar once again before lunging at police. One of the brave officers was released from the hospital on Friday. Look at this video. Struck in the face by a meat cleaver. He needed 70 stitches in his face. 70. Anyway, that's among the news for today. And joining us now, we have former New York City Mayor. No? Yeah. Rudy Giuliani is with us, apparently. Okay. Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Yes. How are you, Sean?
Let me start with, this guy recently went to Afghanistan. One of his friends was interviewed earlier with Shep Smith on Fox today, and I paid very close attention. He's saying that he changed when he went there. If somebody's going to visit Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, why is that a red flag in my mind? Is that fair?
Sean, that's very fair, and I disagree with the FBI analysis of this, and I disagreed with it also with regard to the Boston Marathon bomber, Tsarnaev. I thought it was a major red flag when he not only went to Russia, but he went to Chechnya. And here's what I object to, and what I'd like to know the answer to. Did they give that information to the local police? Because if they didn't, then the FBI needs to be straightened out also, and somebody has to have the courage to say that. When the FBI has information like this, the reason they're not following up on it is because there are only 14,000 FBI agents. There are 36,000 New York City police officers. There are over 800,000 sworn law enforcement officers in the United States. The FBI has to begin to give this information to the local police, because maybe they'll have the extra cop or two that can watch a guy like this. Now, I put the responsibility for ISIS completely on Obama and Hillary Clinton. This would not have happened had they not withdrawn the troops from Iraq. They were handed a somewhat stable Iraq that miraculously the surge under Petraeus worked. We had stabilized Iraq. We had used the Sunnis to fight for us to win the eastern part of Iraq. And then when Obama imposed his deadline, I have no idea what kind of irrational mind would think you should have a timetable for a war. But when we pulled out, a lot of those Sunnis went into the hills, and the other Sunnis joined ISIS. That joined up with the Syrian rebels, and then all of a sudden,
and it's even
the
worse.
JV team.
It's worse because they have the oil as an ability to finance and advance their caliphate and pay for it.
And we left them with a fountain of gold, right? We left them with a fountain of gold, and they are now in 28. They are now in 28 countries. In the last year, we've had more attacks in America than at any time since September 11. From September 11 until Obama, we had no attacks on America. They've all started under Obama. They are provoked by his weakness, by her weakness, by her having the government of Libya overthrown, where ISIS also has a major stronghold. We lost 4 Americans there. She seems to have forgotten that. And
let me ask you this.
We're living in a much more complex and dangerous world than we were living in before Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton came into office.
Hillary voted for that war, and then she pulled out of the war. As you said, they gave a drop-dead date. That created the vacuum for ISIS. Now, this is important. And then she callously said recently, I made a mistake. We've got to learn from the mistake. Now, if I'm the parent of one of the nearly 5,000 people that died there, or if I'm one of the brave men and women that fought, bled, lost a limb, a leg, an arm, or was disfigured, and oops, I made a mistake, and we got to learn from it, that's a pretty severe mistake.
Sean, I don't know. I don't know what Hillary is good at. I can tell you what she's not good at: foreign policy.
Well,
she voted for the war.
Yeah,
she voted for the war. Then she was against the war. She was against the surge. She embarrassed Petraeus, you might remember, when he appeared before Congress to describe how the surge was working. And the reality is, everything in the world that was handed over to her when she became Secretary of State was much worse when she left office. Not to mention all the emails that she exposed and all the money she took for the foundation, for the Clinton Foundation. I mean, the reality is that this woman's knowledge of foreign affairs.
as big a choice election as I think we'll ever see in our lifetime on every big issue, from Obamacare to the economy to Supreme Court justices. But there are three issues that impact this issue profoundly. One candidate can say the words radicalism. I mean, the torture.
Thank God.
The torture pretzel, they're turning themselves into a pretzel. Right, a razor's edge of political correctness. They can't say it. And here's the other two. Building a wall will protect the country, and extreme vetting. Here's my question on vetting. Hillary wants a 550% increase in refugees. Every top law enforcement official, intelligence official, Comey, Clapper, Steinbeck, McCall, General Allen, have all warned and Brennan, all warned that ISIS will infiltrate the refugee population. She wants a 550% increase. Here's my question. If somebody, I know the Saudis, for example, gave her, a foundation up to $25 million, $10 million for the library. So if you grow up in a country where, as a man, you get to tell women they can't drive, you get to tell women what to wear, you get to say whether they go to work or school or can leave the country, you grow up in a country where they kill gays and lesbians, where they persecute Christians and Jews. She takes their money, they buy her silence. If you grow up under that cultural divide, the direct antithesis to our constitutional republic, why can't we ask if you want to abide by our laws and our culture before you come here? Why is that described as bigoted?
Not only should we ask that, that's the oath that you take when you become a citizen of the United States. You renounce allegiance to all other sovereigns. You pledge allegiance to the United States, and you pledge you'll give up your life in defense of the United States. So when we say that we want people, as Donald Trump says, that come to the United States who love this country, that's built right into our Constitution. Hillary Clinton doesn't understand our Constitution. She doesn't respect our Constitution. Her knowledge of foreign policy is a joke. Her performance in foreign policy was a disaster. Yeah. Every single thing in the world.
Let me ask the last
worse.
question. Because Donald Trump said today, now, by the way, CNN, I just read Joe Concha's column in The Hill, he never said racial profiling, he said profile. Now, should we profile people that have a huge cultural divide and grow up in a society that says we're going to kill gays and lesbians and we're going to tell women how to dress and we're going to persecute Christians and Jews?
Sean,
I want to profile them.
Sean, I investigated lots of crimes, right?
Right.
I used FBI profilers to help me figure out who the killer was, who the person was. If I have a few little pieces of information, the guy's 6'5" and he's white, I don't go look for a 5'4" black.
Yeah.
Profiling is absolutely appropriate and necessary to solve crimes, so long as it's based on fact and not prejudice.
After 9/11, the city of New York, the NYPD had a mosque surveillance program, and Comrade Bozo de Blasio is what I call him. He eliminated that program. Was that a mistake?
A big mistake. Now, he looked pathetic this weekend.
Oh, my, it was so embarrassing. It was humiliating.
As the former mayor of New York, I was embarrassed watching him on television. He couldn't even say that a bombing was an act of terror.
It was so bad.
Governor Cuomo had to come in almost as if he was his mentor and say, hey, by the way, if there's a bomb and it hurts 29 of your citizens, it's an act of terror, then we'll figure out if it's Islamic or not.